How is it like to quit a job?
If a person resigns, for me as a psychologist, I need to look at a few factors that are related to the resignation. Is it that this person resigned because he got another job? He has got something better? Or he resigns because the environment is toxic? The work environment is toxic, and so he can't cope. She can't cope, so she feels, well, I better keep my health, including my mental health. Now, when you sack people without giving them information, what do you think you are doing? If somebody does that to you, will you be happy?
There are some people or there are some establishment organizations that are not actually making money enough to sustain the workforce that they have. Because they don't have money enough to sustain the workforce they have, the next thing to do is to downsize for the sake of the life of that organization.
In ASU, we said that the take home pay does not take us home. The take home pay stops on the way. It stops before you get to the home. The take home pay has finished. So maybe the take home pay cannot take you to the home. So what is it? That it's like you are struggling to make money for drivers.
So do I need money for my mental health to be mentally healthy? Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because I want to have a good life. I want to be able to go anywhere I want to go to. I want to be able to feed. I want to be able to have the basic things in life. I want to be able to also be a blessing to other people.
There are some jobs you do and you are simply not satisfied with it. You are not just satisfied with this job. The pay may be there, but one day you resign. You walk away. The pay may be there, the pay may be good, but you just walk away. Now the question is, what is that question? Does work determine or help to determine mental health or something? Yes, it does. It does, because once you have, so to speak, a good employment, the tendency is that you think a little better.
The last thing that you could imagine now is staying without a job. But what if that major source of income of yours gets on your neck to dwindle your peace? Welcome to your Self-Growth, Family Life and Societal Development podcast, Uproots the Issue. We seek in-depth truth behind issues people are facing. I am always glad every time, anytime and any day to be called your host, Ekemini Ekwere, ever conscious to give you comfort. And so we'll be having our own discussion today on workplace and mental health. The thing you are good at doing, you love doing it. How are you treated at your workplace? Is your job worth your mental health? Tune in and join us as we start the conversation. I'm very glad in this talk show room I have a clinical psychologist. He's also the head of Department of Psychology, University of Uyo, and a manager of FCMB Bank here in Uyo, Dr. Mfon Ineme and Mrs. Arit Inyang. I would love them to say hi to you all.
Hello viewers or hello listeners. I hope you're having a good time.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us, man. Okay, doctor?
Good listener, it's my pleasure to be here, and I think we're going to have a swell time together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start the conversation. Just as doctor has said, you've heard from him, it's going to be a great time. So, Mrs. Inyang, how is it like to quit a job?
I've not quit a job before. So I don't know how it's like, but I know people who have quit jobs, and it's really not an easy experience, especially when the job was like everything to you.
Oh.
There are some people who their jobs give them validation. There are people whom their job gives them some level of security and value, even within the circle of influence that they used to be before. So losing jobs like that can actually alter a lot of things about them. I have friends who have quit their jobs. I know how difficult it is. Sometimes just a month, and you're seeing the downsides of that experience. So I don't think it's an easy thing at all for anyone to lose a job, especially those who are the breadwinners, as it were.
Yes.
So I know it's not easy for those that have seen. Yeah, it's not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, doctor, you see, I have always wished to ask you this question. This, being your work environment, and I will ask, what stigma comes with job loss, quitting a job? What's the stigma that follows?
Let me thank you, Ekemini, for finally being able to kidnap me to the studio after many attempts. Are we talking about quitting or losing? Do they mean the same thing in this context? Are we using it to mean that somebody you are sacked or you resign?
Resigning.
No, fine. If a person resigns, for me as a psychologist, I need to look at a few factors that are related to the resignation. Is it that this person resigns because he got another job? He has got something better? Or he resigns because the environment is toxic? The work environment is toxic, so he can't cope. She can't cope, so she feels, well, I better keep my health, including my mental health, to keeping this job. Let me go, and even it means dying, in quote, let me go and die, than work in this place. Or sometimes, these are working in the private sector, you just come to work one day and you are logged out. Your computer has been logged out since 12 midnight, and then you can't access it again. We have people that slump. You got people that slump because of the fact that you tried to log into your computer, your system, and you were sacked in the 12 midnight. Then they never told you, never given you that information. And then, I've had to quarrel with the employers all over Nigeria. I've had the privilege of touring almost all parts of this country in the course of doing mental health. I'll be in Abuja in the next few days from today. Now, when you sack people without giving them information, what do you think you are doing? If somebody does that to you, will you be happy? Probably because you feel you are now a COE, so you now have the yam, you have the knife, so you can cut it.
At any point.
At any point. You don't mind what happens to the knife you are cutting. Sorry, to the yam you are cutting.
You are cutting.
You don't mind it. Just because you are now in control, so you can cut it. You walk away somebody, a family man, a family woman, just locking her out like that. Obviously, as a psychologist, the first thing that happens is that the mental health is affected. The person slumps. Some will comport themselves with mortgage emotion, what we call mortgaging of emotion in psychology. He will mortgage his emotion or her emotion and step out of that office to go and die. And it doesn't concern you as a human being that you have killed a family.
A family.
You have destroyed a family because you feel you are now in COE. Because you now, guy, you can do anything, you can say anything and walk away. So if it is in terms of quitting a job, in terms of being sacked, then it comes with far-reaching mental health implications that maybe 1 hour will not even be enough for us to talk about it, but I think we can still squeeze it in. You can do a compact disc in 1 hour.
Okay, doctor. Mrs. Ian, Dr. made mention of something that caught my attention, and that's why I want to ask you, why do good employers walk out of a job?
Okay, initially when you talked about
employees,
quitting job, I actually thought that it was job loss. Now, quitting a job, people, like doctor has said, it gets to a point where it looks like everything happening in your work environment is getting under your skin.
Okay.
There is no how a sane person can want to stay in a toxic environment. Let me borrow his word. Of course, it's toxic. So there are different things that makes a work environment toxic, right? It may be that you're being discriminated.
Okay.
Just maybe there is a disability somewhere. It may also be that there is this job politics that is being played in the system. So there are lots of places that certain unhealthy practices are being done against the ethics of the workplace. So it now boils down to, am I able to fit into this system? And when there is politics where you cannot get the things that you actually merit, and then for some reason somebody else is getting it, which when you know that you are more productive, it can drive somebody nuts, and then you decide to quit. Sometimes it could also be your fellow colleagues not giving you an enabling environment to operate. That also could make somebody want to walk away. It could also be the pay that you're getting, which is why everybody, as most people go to their offices. Some people go for job satisfaction. Some people go because they need money.
They need money.
And then the money is not actually taking them home. They can decide to quit for something better. All right. So there are lots of issues. Even the culture of a place.
Wow.
The workplace culture can. I have worked in like 3 different places, but I can tell you that there are certain cultures that in a workplace that you find yourself, and you're willing to work there, and you're willing to give in your best. You're going to be so loyal to that system such that you don't want to quit. Okay. And then there's another place you go to, and the culture of that place doesn't allow you to be yourself, and it looks like you're drowning. So in that case, you walk away. You understand?
Yes,
so I walked away from where I was so loyal, to another place where it looked as if I was drowning, to another place where I feel a little bit more comfortable. So different things can make you just quit your job.
Wow.
Most especially toxic environment, and then secondly, the fact that you're not just having that job satisfaction.
Okay.
So it's wide, really. It's wide.
Wow.
If we're to actually explain scenarios, really, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people quit their jobs.
Okay.
Lots.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma. Dr. Ideme, I see
Yep.
the fire is igniting.
Fire this time.
So, doctor, can you share with us few toxic exposures that people are facing, employees are facing at work?
I think Mrs. Ian has mentioned quite a few of them. Sometimes the issue of politicking within the environment of the work is very important. Sometimes you are not able to fit into that politicking. Or it may be a case of harassment, the opposite sex harassment. It could be from the male or from the female. It could be anyhow it comes. And you are not willing to give in. And so the discrimination starts because of that. You know, you may not be bold enough to say it to the public. He too may not be able to say it to the public, but only two of you that know it. And you know why elders say that when two blind people eat, it's only God that knows when they pick the meat. You know, when two blind people eat, it's only God that knows when they pick the meat.
Yeah.
So in that case, you don't know, you can't say it out. You try to manage it. And so at a point, you may be accused of what you didn't do. They give you a label, give you a tag, and then start looking for queries, warning letters, and all of that start coming. And then the next thing is either they transfer you to a place you don't want to go and force you to resign, or you use your hand and just walk away from that job. Now, it could also be the issue of pay that she mentioned. We said that they take home pay does not take us home. The take home pay stops on the way. It stops before you get to the home. They take off home, the home pay has finished. So maybe the take home pay that cannot take you to the home.
To the home.
So what is it? That it's like you are struggling to make money for drivers. You are struggling to make money for Okada people. You are struggling to make money for KK drivers. So at the end of the day, you earn 20,000 and your transport money is 9,500 naira.
Ah, God.
So why do you go to such a job? So that could be one of the reasons. Then the issue of job satisfaction is very important to me as a psychologist. There are some jobs you do and you are simply not satisfied with it. You are not just satisfied with this job. The pay may be there, but one day you resign, you walk away. The pay may be there, the pay may be good, but you just walk away. I tell young people each time I address the crowd of young persons, I never applied to mobile in my life. I never applied to mobile. When we finished university, which was popular, right, every Akwa people had only 3 places to succeed. Young people then, one, either you go to mobile to work, or you join politics, or you go abroad. Those were the 3 places that Akwa Ibom people could excel that time. Okay? Either every young person, when you finish university, it is either you join politics, which is what they are still doing until tomorrow, until this Saturday. They'll still be doing it this Saturday. Or you go abroad, which is now the Japa syndrome.
The Japa of the thing.
It comes and it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. It has come in. And then a few other ones could be the issue of working in mobile. And then I keep telling people, I never tried any of these 3. When I finished PhD in University of Ibadan, I was given a job in California. But I pitched University of Uyo. And they spent time to train me. I said, if I leave now, they gave me accommodation, they gave me everything. I said, come over. I said, no.
Oh, God.
Now, if I leave now, what will happen to my home, to my university? Not the home, I could have picked my wife and my children. We all would.
Japa.
Just Japa, but now I considered a few things down home. I felt, let me set my university for a few days, at least. Let me give it to them. At least the university has given me an identity, has given me a life.
Yes.
You know, so let me give it to them. Now, but the question is this. I have been a teacher throughout my lifetime. I enjoy teaching. You know, I'm a practicing clinical psychologist, but I'm a teacher.
Yes.
And I've taught at all levels of school. I've been a nursery school teacher for over 5 years. I've been a primary school teacher. I've been a secondary school teacher. I teach in university. I teach in Bible colleges till today. What gives me joy is teaching. That's it. So, well, sometimes the pay may not necessarily be there. Even though I'm not telling you I don't need money. But the truth of the matter is that what gives me joy first is that I can go to classroom, I can talk, and I walk away. And then it gives me much joy when you walk on the street and somebody runs after you. Like the other one, teaching hospital, one girl I can remember when I used to held her hand to teach her in hospital how to drill strokes. you know, cups and stroke.
Wow.
She's not a doctor in teaching hospital.
Wow.
Okay? She ran and embraced me. And she called me uncle. You know, when they call me uncle, I remember those times.
Back then.
When they call you sir, you know, you must have taught this one in secondary school.
Secondary school, yes.
So I didn't remember the face. The face was no longer what it was. It's a big girl. And then she said, I remember the name that time. No, to me, that gives me some joy. Now, there are some persons that their job satisfaction is in money. Primarily in money. How much do I get from it? So if you are going for interview, the first thing they ask is, what is the pay like? What is the pay like? And which is what they keep condemning among young men and women. Don't ask your interviewer how much will you pay me.
How much?
It is not that first. Okay, I've got that experience from nursery school, from primary school, from secondary school. And now, if I enter class to teach today,
to avoid maybe
I can teach and then someone will say you've taught.
Yes.
But that has built up from somewhere. Yes. Others may not. So if I apply the technique I use in secondary school, it doesn't work. I apply the technique I use in nursery school, it will work on you. If those two don't work in you.
Village people, don't judge.
But I have that job satisfaction that I'm a teacher. I've had privileges till yesterday. Still had a call from that university to cross over. But maybe for whatever.
No, tell them to rest, because they should rest.
No, see, so your job satisfaction is important. The relationship between you and your colleague is very important too. It has mental health implications. That you wake up in the morning, you shower, you are going to office to go and meet a friend, a colleague. to work with. This how you feel like working in that place. Quite unlike waking up and your heartbeat increases because your next corridor neighbor, your next office neighbor, or somebody staying in the same office space is an enemy. It's an enemy, you know. So you wake up dissatisfied about the job. Sometimes you start applying for transfer. Some of our jobs, no transfer. Is there my kind of job? No transfer. No leave, no transfer. So you must work here, you must stay here. And so if that environment, the social environment we are talking about now, the relationship that was social environment. Now, it's also the issue of physical environment, the facilities that are around the office to work with. You know, some of them are quite hazardous. Like those who work in the bank, you always look at the computer, almost from morning to morning. I wonder whether they pay you hazard allowance. Maybe they do. You may not have to say that. But they should pay. Looking at the laptop, looking at the screen is hazardous. That's why most of us that look at the laptop like that, you wear glasses. Yes. Not because they pursue you from the village, but because there's something wrong with because the job you're doing is hazardous. Because of the hazard of that job, before you know, your eyes are gone. Before you know, many other things are disturbed about you. And sometimes the employers don't bother about the physical environment. The facilities they give you to work with are not okay. And now, if you have an offer to get to somewhere where physical environment is better, you may walk away because of that. But the problem also is that, like I keep saying, is it that you're walking away or you're being sacked?
Okay. All right, doctor. So, Ms. Harry, you know, this conversation is getting more interesting. So, doctor made mention of something that got my attention, that most times, in most cases, we do get fired, or most times we get sacked, which if you should trace the issue behind it, it doesn't worth it. So the resignation, the sacked, the issue that comes with leaving a job, is it that most employees are worthy of this sack stuff of a thing?
You know, you need to look at things in different perspectives. There's some people or there's some establishment organizations that are not actually making money enough to sustain the workforce that they have. Because they don't have money enough to sustain the workforce they have, the next thing to do is to downsize for the sake of the life of that organization. It may look like an unjust cause when you are not in the financials of that organization. It may look unjust. But when you are there, you actually see that the only way out to keep this organization afloat is to take out some people. Now, how do you take out some people? Sometimes people use different methods to downsize. Some people use the first in, last out, or first in, first out method. Some people use last in, first out, depending on that, last in, last to be employed, or last in that role, and then first to go out. Maybe because they don't feel that you are loyal to the system yet, so they can take you out. Some people say, okay, you are first in. It means you've been there long enough, and you have become tired of this place. And so for us to be able to milk some level of profitability from you, or productivity, it will take us more time than if we're dealing with the younger people. So we'll take you out. Then all that looks unjust. But if you look at the business side of it, you will know that it's a just cost for the business owners, but an unjust cost for those that are employees. So, I mean, it's a difficult decision or a difficult thing to see that it's unjust. So you look at, you know, all the parameters involved before you call it either just or unjust. But there are also times where people are sent out of job without fair hearing. You can say that one is unjust. You do something wrong, there are steps to take for you to be exited. Like the organization I work with, if you do something wrong, it starts with a query. Why did you do this thing? An inquiry. And then we look at it and it looks like you're not making sense, all right, vis-a-vis the policy that is on ground. And we'll now take it a step further. Ask you more questions to be sure. So you can have like 2-3 memos just for one thing that you did, just to clarify. When we are still like, okay, this person has actually circumvented or this person has gone against our policy, we now go to a committee, which is a disciplinary committee. So look at it in several ways. Look at it in the angle of having a human face to this situation. They look at it left, right, center, and then analyze everything in line with the policy, and then they can make a decision that this person, with what you have done, it is either you're going to be sacked, it's either you're going to be suspended, it's either you're going to be warned, it's either you're going to be cautioned. There are different levels. And then there are also cases where you do it the first offender, and then you are pardoned. The second offender, we go the next step. So there are policies like that in certain organizations. So some people may actually tell you, oh, they were sacked for unjust causes. But when you look further, you know that they had actually done something wrong. In a productivity-driven environment like where I work, you have your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Where you're not doing well, you will know that I am setting up myself for a fall. So it's either I do something quickly so that it is not unjust. Okay. I need to do something quickly so that this will not catch up with me. Okay. So there are different things like that, especially in a proper work environment.
Okay, so quickly before I rush back to Dr. Ineme, is your job worth your mental health?
Well, is money worth your mental health? money can make you mentally stable and healthy. So do I need money for my mental health to be mentally healthy? Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because I want to have a good life. I want to be able to go anywhere I want to go to. I want to be able to feed. I want to be able to have the basic things in life. I want to be able to also be a blessing to other people.
Yes.
So there are some people that take satisfaction in being a blessing to others. And one of such people is me. So is my work worth my mental health? 100% yes. Also because if I don't have a job, what will I be doing?
Okay.
I become redundant. And as the Bible says, or is it Bible, the adage, an idle man is the devil's workshop. So if I don't want to be a low life in society, my job is good for my mental health. But what I won't do is, when I notice that my mental health is severely threatened, then I need to step back. Either change the job or just step back and do something else.
Wow.
So for now, it may look like banking is not is not healthy for a lot of people, but it's healthy for me because somehow I've been able to navigate the system and know how it works.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Ineme, let me come to you now. So from the psychological perspective, is one's job what's the person's mental health?
Yeah, I think to answer that question, let's look at what's mental health. What is mental health? In a very simple way, mental health is that aspect of your health that determines how you think, how you feel, and how you act. I said that again. Mental health is that aspect of your health that determines 3 things. 1, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. In other words, that's a part of your health that determines your cognition, your affects, and your behavior. That is mental health. Now, if we want to say mental health, what is it? It's just being a way of saying this is the health. Does this person think well? Does this person feel well? Does this person act well? Now the question is, what is that question? Does work determine or help determine mental health or something? Yes, it does. It does, because once you have, so to speak, a good employment, the tendency is that you think a little better. Your cognition is in line with what the society accepts, so you can think well. Now, your affect, which affects you and then affects another person by you, is also a little more stable. You know, if you go to a place like the park, you see how people are coerced with each other. One of the factors is a financial frustration.
True.
Financial frustration among them. Really, I had issues the other time with the Ministry of Justice when they were, saying a lot of things about keke dry riders. Well, that time, what they call Okada, were allowed to ride everywhere in Uyo, and then that was my elementary part of my involvement in mental health. And I said to Okwebun judges, it is not just right that when a commercial cyclist does a thing, what we call Okada,
yes,
you punish him like this. Remember that nobody goes to school to say, when I finish school, I become Okada. Nobody goes to school to say, when I finish school, I become keke rider. Nobody. I'm not sure anybody does that. Everybody that you see in Okada, on Okada as a rider now, is because of frustration. Nobody says, when I grow up, I will become Okada. Ibarra. Nobody. Everybody you see in that business is because the person is frustrated, doesn't have a job. There are people that like that. So you don't treat them because this is what the law says. Sometimes the law has a limit, lower and upper limit for you. The upper discretion, the church or the magistrate has the discretionary power to say, okay, this person can be jailed between 1 year and 3 years. Then why do you give him 3 years? Why not 1? Why not 1.5? Why 3? It is because you forget the issue of mental health. The mental health of an individual is not intact because some of them are, I'm sure some of these Okada people, how do you call them now? KK riders are graduates. Majority of them are graduates. They finish university and no job. So already they are frustrated.
And you're adding your own frustration.
Then they go into the street, they wake up angry, sleep angry. They wake up frustrated, they go to bed frustrated, they wake up tomorrow again frustrated. And that is why even change of 15 naira, they will insist. They must get it. They must get it or they are ready to die because of 15 naira. Because of what? Frustration. The mental health issues now. And some of them, to worsen it, is that they use psychoactive substances to manage it. That is even the worst. They now take alcohol, they now take cigarette, they now take cannabis, they now take heroin to see how to manage their mental health, which is even the worst. Which is even the worst. In the same way, we have people that work in the bank, people that work in the hospital, people that work as lecturers, who also use substances to manage their mental health. The kind of thing they say, when you are tired, everyone, let me go and drink. Let me go and we call it temporary escape from problem. Yes. You have problems. Instead of solving the problem with your co-worker or your husband or your wife, I think we need to even look at the home front a little here. Yes. The issue, instead of settling the problem, you go and drink. When you finish enough, instead of going home, you go and drink. You go and drink. You go and drink yourself to stupor. Drink to stupor. But some people go back to the house around maybe 11 p.m. Does that end the problem? It doesn't end the problem. The problem will leave the parlor and wait for you in the bedroom. Yeah. Some problems happen in the parlor. You go out. The problem leave the parlor and go in the bedroom and wait for you. By the time you will come back in the 11 to 12 in the night, the problem is not in the parlor. It's not in the parlor. It's in the bedroom. It's waiting for you in the bedroom. So that you go and meet the problem then. So we need to look at it. And I think also the issue of why people quit their job that we're trying to look at, which is what the focus of today's discussion, is that we need to look at the issue of home front. What happens in the home that filters into the official work and affects productivity of an employee. There are some homes that are very toxic. Again, I use that word. Sure. Very toxic relationships. Sometimes the spouse is toxic, the spouse is not cooperating with you, doesn't want you to do a particular job. Some that are very suspicious. Those that have what we call paranoia. Those that are paranoid. One of the symptoms of paranoia is suspicion.
And it's a mental health issue.
It's a mental health issue. So mental health issue. They find it difficult to trust another person. They live in suspicion. They can't trust another person. Because they lack of trust and they live in suspicion, every step your spouse takes outside, every call your spouse receives is suspected. Is suspected. In fact, it may even come to the point that your brother-in-law calls your wife.
And there's a problem.
Because you don't even know who is calling.
Who is calling?
You throw tantrums against your wife. Okay? And now, anybody that lives in such environments, it will affect productivity in office. True. And if it's an organization that measures productivity strictly, they start complaining. that, madam, you're not performing again, no. Madam, you're not performing again, no. Madam, you're not performing again. When they warn you orally 2-3 times, before you know, they start writing either query or warning letter for you. Okay? And it starts affecting your work. And now, if when you start receiving one query as a worker, the home is not good. Now, the office is not good. We spend about, how many hours from 8 to 4 is about 8 hours in office. Now, you transit about 1 hour to and fro, 1 hour on the road in Uyo. So, you take out of 23 hours, out of 24 hours, you have 23 hours of toxic relationship. Because in the home, it's toxic. At office, there's something toxic about it. So what do? Depression will set in. That is one. You know, if you know what depression does to many people, one of the symptoms of depression is suicidal ideation. Suicide will start coming in. You start thinking of how to, because suicide is a permanent escape. Yes. Rather than like alcohol or substance, which is temporary escape. For you to end, some people feel that, let me end it, let me end this life and walk away. Or you throw yourself into a dilemma. Do I maintain my family or maintain my job? You keep thinking every day, which one should I keep? Which one is more valuable? My marriage or my job? Which one? Especially if the marriage has children. Which one should I keep? Some people say, okay, let me stay because of my children. Let me keep quiet and stay. Let me bear it because of my children. But bearing it now, you are draining. You are going down every day. You are going down every day. You're not productive at home again. You're not productive at work again. Even the children you want to stay to protect are not even enjoying you any longer. Yeah. Because sometimes you become aggressive with the children. Yeah. The child will break a little glass. You beat him as if he stole 3 trillion naira.
That's the frustration.
Because of frustration. Okay, we call it displacement. You displace your anger because you're not with your husband. You displace it on your child. Okay, your husband has said something very aggressive that you could have beaten him because you know you can't beat him. The next thing that the spoon falls from the hands of your house girl. You beat and kick and do everything against this girl. We call it displacement as a defense mechanism. You know, so it affects the work. We need to also understand that people quit jobs because of I've managed families, I've managed couples, I'm still managing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 now, that the husband says, choose between this marriage and your job. And the man is not working, the woman is the breadwinner. The man is the breadwinner
of the house.
He's the breadwinner. And you are telling her to leave the job. She's even the one feeding you and clothing you. And you're asking her to leave the job.
It's insecurity.
It's insecurity, actually. It's a case of insecurity. You're telling her to leave the job. Now, if she leaves the job now, she's bringing some money at the end of every month. Yes. You're asking her to leave. Now, when you stay hungry, your aggression will be higher. Your level of aggressiveness will be higher as a man. Okay, you now start calling her all kinds of names worse than what you've called her here. So it's almost a dilemma for such cases. And then it affects productivity. Our concern today is what happens at the office, what happens at workplace. Now, the woman will now say, okay, can I leave this job? Okay, finally she may close her eyes and say, let me resign. It's just because of the society we say that people who separate or divorce have a stigma attached to them. That is a divorcee. What is wrong? What is wrong in being a divorcee? You have to decide between leaving. Because sometimes I've seen cases where finally the lady resigns from the job, goes home, and within a few years they have a problem and she dies. People that told her, don't leave this marriage, don't leave, they wear black jacket to go and bury her. They wear black coat to go and bury her. And she was a very good woman. And you are burying a very good woman. It's actually a dilemma. I'm a clinical psychologist. I run mental health services, including marital cases. But at the same time, I'm a Christian. I won't support divorce or separation. But when it threatens the life of somebody, what do you do then? Remember that when you say, let us not divorce, I accept it. Divorce, God hates divorce. I hate divorce too. But when this person dies, the marriage wanted to protect has ended. I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Okay, let me end that.
Okay. Okay.
You know, when the doctor was talking, I know he was actually talking about abusive relationships.
Abusive relationships.
There are some cases where people are emotionally abused.
Yeah.
If from the home front, some people are with spouses that give them silent treatments. And they feel that, oh, I did not beat her, I did not shout on her, I didn't say anything to her, so let me just keep quiet. Your keeping quiet is putting the person in a very bad state.
Yeah.
Very bad mental state. And they come to work. Sitting down there, some of them are lost. Like, okay, what have I done wrong? You've not said anything. I have asked you what the problem is. You've not said anything. And they are there thinking about what they have done wrong, rather than concentrating on the work for which they came. So this mental health issue is broad, and we do it to ourselves. That's even the bad thing. That's even the sad aspect of it. That another human being can make another human being's mental health to deteriorate. So I just needed to add that I mean, for viewers and listeners, please, when you say you don't beat your spouse, you don't shout on your spouse, but you are giving your spouse silent treatment, it's emotional abuse.
It's emotional
so
abuse.
you are an abuser.
Yeah, you are.
So you need to take note that silent treatment is being emotionally abusive. I just need to add that.
Okay, so as a parting words to our viewers, briefly, what is your last word to us?
For me, I think we need to pay more attention to our mental health.
Okay.
Across all lines, across all spheres of society. Today, yes, we are talking about the workplace. And we need to actually know how to manage the emotions that come from the kind of work that we do. The negative aspects of the work we do. You need to know. Knowledge is enriching. When you know what to do. If you don't know how it affects you, you will not know the solution. You will not even know the modalities on how to cope. We need money, right? As much as we need money, we need to be healthy individuals, such that our society becomes a healthy society. So when you know your workplace is toxic and you try to find a way to manage yourself within that sphere and it's not working, please, it is ideal to step back.
Okay.
It is ideal to step back. And then also when you step back, what else am I going to do so that you don't deteriorate further? So in my parting words, try to do what makes you happy. Try to do what gives you fulfillment, and look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and know where you belong at a particular time. So
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. So, Doctor, your parting words.
Parting, do I part? Okay. Let me say that mental health, three persons are involved now. The home, the individual, and the office. For mental health to be intact, to be at least optimum, that this person can function. Remember that every employee is measured by productivity. What all that we're doing is, how productive is this person? For you to be productive in your employ, you need to look at your mental health, guard it jealously, and then let the persons, the parties, the factors involved also help the employee to have an optimum mental health. That is, let the home, people who work from the home, the spouses and the children, make this person to go to office and work well. Now let the employer and then the co-workers in office help each other to make sure that the mental health is in place. And then let the individual try to manage the mental health. If, for example, if you have issue with your colleague, instead of bearing grudge, look for a way, talk it over. Say it out. Allow somebody to access you. Don't be too difficult to work with, because it will affect you.
Definitely.
There are some people that are difficult to work with, and they tell you, that's how I am. That's how I am. Even God, even Satan knows that's how I am. You know, everybody knows that's how I am. It will affect you. It will affect your mental health, because apart from maybe some people think that bearing of grudge is a matter. Grudge is a mental health issue. You are keeping the person here, not here. You are keeping the person in your mind, not in the heart. The person you don't forgive is in the mind, not in the heart, because you can't bear grudge here. You can only bear grudge here. And because this is where mental health is you are keeping the person. How large is your brain? Some people keep 20 people, 50 people in their brains. They refuse to forgive. How large is your brain? How large is your mind? You need to look at it and then forgive people. When they offend you, when you feel offended, forgive. Let go. Learn to let go issues. Forgive issues, or forgive people, so that you can work well. And remember that little job is important. It's important. So try to maintain it, or maybe until you find a better one.
All right. Thank you very much. Try to maintain the little job. And if you are working in an environment where your mental health is hampered on, please remember that one thing is certain. You are trying to build someone's investment by adding value, and you are entitled forever to a mental and sound mind, and not a seizure of mind. This was a very fantastic, worthy, and rewarding conversation with Mrs. Arit Inyang and Dr. Mfon Ineme. I am your host, anytime, any day. Please stay tuned to Uproot the Issue. Until next episode, stay safe and blessed. Bye.